Hey everybody, Rob Cesternino back here with Pooya, and we are speaking with Gone Too Soon. The great Robyn Dixon is with us. Robyn, how are you doing after being so unceremoniously murdered by the traitors?
I mean, you know what? I was like, I knew it was coming, of course. I knew my fate. But when I watched the episode, I was like, that's all. I was like, can I get an explanation? Can you, like, why did you murder me? Like, you just randomly was like, oh, let's kill Robyn. Like, no, I needed a little bit more. So I was quite disappointed. And I was like messaging Carolyn last night, like, why did you all murder me?
And what did she say?
She said, I didn't want to murder you. And that was like all she had for me. I was like, there's got to be a reason why you picked me that day because I was going to get Rob out that night. Like after the round table the night before with Bob the drag queen, I was like, Rob is a traitor. Bob the drag queen's reaction was it was so intense compared to Bob's reaction to Dylan calling him a traitor or Iva calling him a traitor. Like the way that Bob reacted, I was like, oh, I know what just happened here. So I was going to get Boston Rob the next day. And so when they murdered me, I was like, oh, I was so mad. I'm like, they better get him. They better, like, I swear, Rob better be banished. And he wasn't. So
Mhm.
anyway, but I was very disappointed that they just murdered me. It was like they just picked a name out of the air and had no reason to murder me.
Robyn, this had to have been a tough season for you. Looking at Dorinda and Ion going back to back, you're like, I want this franchise too. Why are y'all looking at us like this?
I mean, you know what? And I've been on Real Housewives for 8 seasons. And when we show up in front of a camera, we're just here to make TV. And so when they were taking out good people who make good TV, I'm thinking like, wait a minute, like no, like if you want to murder them, like just wait a little bit while longer. We need like the good sound bites. We need, the drama, the interaction. Like, why are you murdering us? Because we're going to bring the drama. And, but I guess the gamers had a different idea. They want to just, kill people just to be killing them. And they weren't thinking about, oh, the entertainment value that we bring. So, but I'm just like, come on, like they couldn't have picked the housewife. That was so overdone. It was just that it was a disappointment that they chose that route. But I understand why they did it because of how last year was. But
Yeah.
still, they
Robyn,
took out really good people.
what did you know about these gamers before you came in to go and play traders with them?
Nothing, like not a thing. The only one that I was ever familiar with was Boston Rob because, I remembered him from like he was on the very first season of Survivor, right? Or
The early days, yeah.
yeah, really early Survivor. So of course I just remember him from that, but I didn't keep up with him. I had never seen any of the other ones, none of them. Tony, Danielle, Carolyn, Jeremy, like they were all new to me, which is great. It's like I love just meeting new people and it's like we're all in there with a blank slate. So and I really don't watch a lot of TV to even know like the mind of a gamer, like to even know what happens on Big Brother or what happens on Survivor and kind of what they're accustomed to. So for me, I'm like, okay, these are just regular people. Okay, Tony the police officer, Jeremy the fireman, wasn't like Tony the survivor winner or whatever, whatever.
Hmm.
I feel like early in the game, Robyn, I think the first instance where I really got to see your game was your clash with Wells, where you and Wells disagree on whether Dorinda was the right choice for the traders or not. What went down there between the two of you?
So Wells, it was when I don't know, it was like he got really uncomfortable when I came back at him and was like, no, that was actually a really great pick by the traders. That was super smart because they have us all confused. And he just got real uncomfortable. And what you didn't see was he got up and walked out of the room. And I was like, oh, like that was where like the red flag really went off. I'm like, oh, he's not ready to like have these conversations about the murder he committed last night. And prior to that, Wells and I, we spent time in the, spent time like in the Jeep together. We actually interacted a lot and we had good conversations. And so when his demeanor flipped and he wasn't able to really like engage in the conversation, I was like, oh, okay, there's something going on here. So, but it's funny. It's like when I've been a Traitors viewer. I love the Traitors. I watched the first 2 seasons, and I'm sitting there as a viewer, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like they're so stupid. How can they not see that? Like, what are they thinking? Like, why? It's so obvious. But when you're in the game, we're looking at all 20 other people instead of the viewers are looking at, the 4 traitors. You're looking at the 4 traitors' behavior. We're looking at 20 people's behavior, and they're people who we might not have ever met before. And so it's not as easy as it seems. But
Okay.
I hate that Wells was.
Yeah, Robyn, you were closing in on Boston Rob after he went after Bob the drag queen. But for Danielle and Carolyn, did you have any suspicions about them?
No. Oh my gosh. I was so shocked when I found out that they were traitors, especially Carolyn, because Carolyn, like, she would just be like, oh, I miss my dog. Like that was the only
Pretty good.
that I have a good Carolyn impersonation. Oh, I miss my dog. Like that was what she would say like all the time. And so like watching her, I'm like, wow, like I don't know anything about her, but if that was part of her game, like that was a really good game at that point in the game. Danielle was so like emotional and dramatic. She would be all like, stressed at the round table, like, oh, like worried, hoping she made the right decision. And, we're watching everyone's every move. And I would see her just be so like, so stressed and worried. And that to me wasn't a red flag. It was like, damn, girl, like you're really stressed over this game. Like it ain't that serious. um, and I think what a lot of us do, which probably is a mistake, is we put ourselves like, what would I do if I was a traitor? And Danielle's behavior is not something I would do if I was a traitor. And so that's why she was never on my radar.
You mentioned that you were looking at Rob coming, had you come into the round table this upcoming night. Who else were you looking at as potential traitors at the time?
At that time, it was just Rob. Like I was zeroed in on him. Because like to me, that was like it made the most sense. And the theory of, oh, there were traitors in the coffins, that didn't make sense to me anymore, because I'm like, if I'm a traitor, I'm not getting in that coffin and putting attention on myself. And so I had shifted off of that theory. And at the moment, because nobody else was really standing out to me, Rob was like the only one that I was going to get him. And so when I watched the round table and I saw them let him slide, I'm like, oh, if I was there, he would have been done. I know he would have been done, because no one really brought up Bob the drag queen's visceral reaction to him, and Bob the drag queen, like pretty much saying like, I do not lie. Like I am not telling a lie. And so I knew I would have gotten him. I'm so mad I didn't.
Okay, so we know where the gamers are for the most part in the house, but could you tell us a little bit about the dynamics of what the rest of the relationships look like for the players who were the faithful?
Yeah,
From your vantage point?
Yeah, it was still very early in the game, so we were all just getting to know each other. We were able to like, at breakfast, get to know one another, learn about, your kids play basketball, or, learning about Iva's history and stuff like that. And so it was, I'm sad that my time was cut short, because I was starting to really get to learn everyone's just life. And that was probably one of my favorite parts about that. It's just, you're just meeting all these different people, and we're playing a game. And it's kind of weird, because it's like, I might be talking to Brittany about whatever, her children at home. And I'm looking at Brittany like, you're traitor though. Like you're sitting here and talking to me and we're having this good conversation, but you're really a traitor. It's like, so you can never really have like a full open experience to anyone because you're suspicious of everyone. But the group was a great group. We got along. We, we're just kind of like happy to be there. We were, enjoying playing the game, but of course everyone's antennas were always up. So
What were your impressions of the other two cage boys that came into the game a day late, in Wes and Derrick?
I didn't know anything about them either. But I actually really respected them. They seemed to be pretty level-headed, and the things that they would say made sense. And I actually did hear Wes say the same thing about Boston Rob being a traitor. Like, how would a traitor know? And I really respected his take on that. I felt like, and I felt Wes was a little more strategic than Derrick. Derrick, to me, I appreciated his point of view because he works in the crime, the detective kind of. He's on a crime podcast, and so he's like in that field. So I respected his opinion because it's like, okay, like how to identify when someone's lying or whatever. I mean, of course, when they added 2 people, I'm like, or 3 people, I'm like, come on, like. It's like it was already enough people here,
Yeah.
and you're counting the people and you're counting the days you have left, and you're like, okay, I got a chance, and then you add 3 more people. But I respected those guys. I like them as people and as additions to the cast. We just didn't need that many people.
Robyn, was there anything that you saw or that you felt like that was a big deal while you were there that didn't make the episode that would be interesting for us to know about?
A big deal? Not particularly.
What about anything fun that happened that we didn't get to see?
I mean, okay, I do want to say I'm a little disappointed by the fact that they didn't show how hard I worked on that last mission, bringing up those statues. I'm a really strong person for whatever reason. There's no reason why I'm strong. I just am. And so I had to come in, I had to help carry 4 statues up. And when I watch the episode, it looks like I'm just walking up and down the hill. Like I don't even see my hands on one statue. And I'm like, what in the world? I had to like take over. I took over for Bob Harper. I took over for Bob the drag queen. I took over for like these people. I had my hands on 4 different statues. And I was like, it looked like I was doing nothing. So,
Yeah.
that was a little disappointing to me. Trying to think. And also during that mission, Bob the drag queen kept saying to me, he was getting angry with me. He was like, you need a shield. You need a shield. Like, it was like he knew they wanted to murder me. And he kept telling me, you need a shield. And I'm just like, oh, I got to help get these statues up. Like, because people were struggling.
Mhm.
And he got so angry with me because I was not, running to put my head on a statue. And then so after he was murdered, I'm sorry, after he was banished, I knew I was being murdered. Like I knew I was going home. I was like, oh, that's why he told me. That's why he was getting upset with me for not getting a shield, is because he knew they wanted to murder me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Robyn, thank you for making some time for us. I really appreciate it. Is there anything else you want people to know in terms of keeping up with what you're doing?
Oh, yes. Well, I have a podcast called Reasonably Shady. We are in our 5th season. It's a lot of fun with my bestie Giselle from the Real Housewives of Potomac. And so if you want to add another podcast to your list, check out Reasonably Shady.
Okay. Thank you so much. And Robyn, all the best outside the Traitors. Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye.